The Russia-North Korea alliance is extending beyond military supplies and ammunition to North Korean boots on the ground fighting for Russia in Ukraine, all of which is being greeted by a volley of condemnation from the West. Here's a report.
It's a relationship that's expanded leaps and bounds since Putin met Kim in June and signed a military assistance pact. The West has frequently expressed concern and censure. So when Ukraine puts out word of 1,500 North Korean troops in Russia to be deployed for ground warfare inside Ukraine, the flutter multiplies. North Korean soldiers are said to be receiving training before being sent to the front line, possibly by early next month. NATO and South Korea have hit out. The US, UK, France and others have raised concern. Ukrainian President Zelensky says 10,000 North Korean troops are to be moved in, calling it an urgent development he has raised with the White House. Moscow, of course, rubbishes the reports and the censure.
North Korea, the Korean People's Democratic Republic, is our close neighbor, our partner. We develop our relations in all spheres. This is our sovereign right. Nobody should be concerned about it because this cooperation is not directed against the third countries. We are going to develop this cooperation further on.
Beyond NATO concerns on the Ukraine conflict and claims of escalation, there's the North Korea-South Korea dimension. South Korea summoned the Russian ambassador in Seoul to register strong protest. It termed the moves illegal and demanded immediate reversals.
North Korea's involvement in Russia's invasion war is a violation of UN resolutions and should be condemned as an illegal act by the international community. Furthermore, it poses a serious threat to our national security and safety of our people.
For Kim, the gains of sending troops to the Ukrainian front lines are huge. Tops, of course, is cementing the Pyongyang-Moscow alliance, besides the financial and military gain. Providing hardware and possible manpower for the Russian army almost certainly comes with a quid pro quo it needs. All of which imparts a new possible dimension to the Russia-Ukraine war. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, let's talk more about this. Peter Kuznick is a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. He is now joining us live on the broadcast from Washington, D.C. Mr. Kuznick, thank you very much for making time for us. North Korean troops fighting for Russia in Ukraine. How will it impact the current war or the current conflict? Because there are some critics who say that Russia is showing its weakness by this move.
First of all, we've got to remember that this has not been confirmed yet. In fact, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and NATO chief Mark Rutte have both said that this has not yet been confirmed. So what we know so far is Ukraine's allegations. It was part of the message that Zelensky brought to NATO in the recent deliberations and to his meeting with President Biden. So, but if it is true, and it's still not clear that it would affect the balance of power on the battlefield. Russia has been on the offensive, especially in the Donbass. And as they move closer and closer to Pokrovsk, they are strengthening their position to take all of Donetsk, and that puts them in a very, very strong position militarily.
Professor Kuznick, before you continue, sorry to cut you short, but if at all these reports are not true, why is South Korea summoning Moscow's ambassador after North Korea reportedly sent thousands of soldiers to aid Russia in Ukraine war? Why is it doing that? If it's at all a rumor, why should it go ahead and summon an ambassador of a country that is, employing or deploying these troops?
You have to remember that the Yoon government in South Korea is very hostile to North Korea and hostile as a result to North Korea's allies. So If this is true, I could see South Korea using this as a way to further diminish North Korea on the international level right now. But we don't have any evidence of this. The South Koreans have made allegations, and the Ukrainians have made allegations. The Russians have denied it. It very well might be true, but what we know, or we think we know, is that there are 1,500 North Korean troops being trained in the Russian Far East. But Zelensky has alleged that 10,000 more are on the way and that they're to be used in fighting. That doesn't make sense to most military experts. The North Koreans have had no experience militarily, really, since 1953 with the end of the Korean War. So the thought that they could be integrated is very, very questionable. Some people allege that they could be used for cannon fodder, that they would be sacrificial lambs in the onslaught. But again, does Russia need them at this point? Ukraine is on the defensive. Ukraine had the incursion into Kursk, which was very dramatic initially, but that now is being rolled back, and they are on the defensive and losing ground in the east. So I don't see why Russia would risk hurting itself diplomatically by taking this step. It's possible, it's certainly possible, and we're all awaiting evidence to see if it's true.
All right, we are waiting for evidence to see if it is true. You're right about that. I've been talking to Peter Kuznick, who's a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. Professor Kuznick, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.